Hello and welcome to Larry's Topics. Today I'm going to explain more my stand on why I refuse to embrace the new Star Wars trilogy or expansion of the Star Wars mythos and that. And people probably think that I'm just being narrow-minded in that, and not so much I'm being narrow-minded, it's just the aspect that, well, George Lucas himself had said that Star Wars, was basically the precursors in that, in Clone Wars and that he worked on were all they all intertwined, but they all wound up focusing on one aspect. It is the cornerstone of the whole saga, the whole original trilogy, and that, and people don't, ignore it. And he says that in many interviews, I know I've watched a bunch of them, that it's cornerstone and the whole purpose of the Star Wars universe and back legends and backstories and what have you is one person. The branching out of other characters, and yes, they branch out, but they still come back to one person. Just one, and that's Anakin. Everything that happens in the Clone Wars and beyond that, it all reverts to one point: Anakin. And Anakin becoming Darth Vader, and then Luke bringing him back to the light side of the Force, and Anakin killing Emperor Palpatine and dying himself. And so many people think that I'm against it because of nostalgia or whatever. No, it's the fact that it is all to lead up to Anakin. Leia, Luke, Han Solo, Chewbacca, all the other people in the story in Star Wars New Hope, Return of the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, all those branched out characters, it all branches out, but then it all comes together to one thing. Vader, Anakin. He had already fallen, and it's his son's duty as a loving son who never got to know his father to bring him back to the light side of the Force. And he says the story is the story of a slave boy turned into a Jedi, turned into a Jedi Knight, his fall to the dark side, his path of the dark side, and then eventually his rebirth into the light side of the Force. That's what it all is. And people think, I'm just being a fanboy. And it's not that. It's I honor and respect the original stories. And the fact that George Lucas ended it. It was over. He had thoughts of maybe doing more branching out, but he never went to it. His branching out was going to give more explanation to the origin of the Force and the founders of the Force and that. Luke's story was over. Leia's story was over. Han Solo, Chewbacca, their stories were over. It was done. The main cornerstone, the main backbone of the stories, the whole focus of the stories was Darth Vader. And that's it. He says that's it. It's about Anakin. If I did anything else with the Star Wars, it would be a branch off from that. It would not be to continue it. Well, he was done with the franchise. And he had the what if maybe ideas, but it wasn't to continue the story of Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and that. No. It was to branch off and do other stuff. Disney went totally the opposite direction of what he would have done and saw Star Wars as what it is. When you stop thinking about it, Star Wars has legions of fans. Heck, Darth Vader has legions of fans. The most iconic supervillain of all time. Come on. My daughter, I don't know if she still is, but she was such a Darth Vader fan. She fell in love with him the moment she saw him. She's like, who's that? She saw a action figure in a store, and I was like, that's Darth Vader. She's like, what's that in his hand? You know, because he was holding his lightsaber. I was like, that's his lightsaber. What's a lightsaber? It's an energy sword. And next thing I knew, she wanted stuff with Darth Vader slapped on it. She had Darth Vader shirts. She had a remote control Darth Vader car. And it was really dope because it lit up and it sounded like him and that and was shaped like his helmet. Blah, blah, blah. She was so in love with Darth Vader, she actually sat on numerous occasions because she was so obsessed with the character and wanting to know more about him that she watched YouTube videos of people breaking down and explaining the functions and purposes of each button on his suit. How his suit fed him, how it got rid of his waste. She watched these, and they were half-hour, 45-minute videos, but she watched them all. That's how much of a Darth Vader fan she was. And I think she still is. She just won't admit it. She still wants his lightsaber. And she would love to get her own Darth Vader costume. But it gives you an idea of what I mean. He's the greatest supervillain. Well, Disney saw Star Wars as a cash grab. That's what it is. Something to make more money. That's why they offered George Lucas, I think they offered him $30 billion for it. For everything. Rights to comics, original stories, toys and production design of toys, future design of toys. They owned the Lucas label. And what happened? The moments after they got it. Next thing you know, they're announcing Star Wars attraction, basically a whole section of the Disney Empire to Star Wars, and various connections to it, where you can buy, heck, you can buy the meal box Luke eats out of in Empire Strikes Back, and you can choose what you want in the snack box. They've gone so far with it to take the iconic blue milk in New Hope that he's drinking and make its own drink. If you get what I'm saying. And the fans, they're like, it's nostalgia, and it's like helping yes, it's helping them bring more parts of Star Wars into reality, so to speak, making it so the fans can be closer to that universe, but my biggest problem is the love's not there. It's not there. If it was, I think I could embrace the new movies more. But they don't see it that way. And you stop thinking about it. All right? Everyone loved the original trilogy. It was a hit. And then George Lucas finally did the prequels. Yes, a lot of fans had disappointment with it and that, and had their complaints, but George Lucas stayed true to the story and his vision. Disney, let's see, was it Force Awakens was a huge hit. People loved it. I think it was, then there was The Last Jedi, and everyone thought it sucked, even though it still made buttload of money. And then, because of that, they found someone else and went, to Rise of Skywalker. And I think that one was a hit too, or it was iffy, but it's the point. Different people went into making it, and all it was and all it is it's a cash grab. That's all it is. They don't care about you, the fans. They don't care about you. They don't care. Come on. Almost $300 to assemble a lightsaber. You get your own lightsaber with your own choice of crystal and that, but guess what? That's it. That is it. You put your handle together, you get the blade, crystal, you get the blade, you get the nostalgia of the whole workshop thing, and then you get a carrying case to carry your lightsaber in. Other than that, that's it. And honestly, when you can go out and you can go and order, I think it's like $200, maybe a little more, to get your own designed lightsaber from Lightsaber Forges. Maximum I know of, for the most part, is usually $200. Kyber, Forge, or whatnot. But almost $300 for one lightsaber. Oh, it's because you're paying for the experience. No, it's just you milking it. It's you, Disney, trying to make more money. I think it's like $60 for the food, for the snack tray. 60, yeah, it's $60 for the snack tray. And it just bothers me because it's not the love of the franchise that they're doing this. It's, if I remember correctly, I think they've already doubled their money in the few years that it's been open. I'm almost positive they've doubled their money since its opening. It's just ridiculous, If it wasn't anything more than a cash grab, which it is, that's what it is, if you observe everything about it. A lot of your super fans do it. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan. I love Star Wars. And I'll admit, my two favorites of the franchise are a lot of people's least favorites. And they're my two favorites because they are Revenge of the Sith, and that's because you have the downfall of Anakin to the dark side and the birth of Darth Vader, and you see Anakin fight Obi-Wan and get put in this suit, lose and get put in the suit. That's why it's my favorite. And then Return of the Jedi. I love Return of the Jedi so much. When I was a kid, my grandpa borrowed the copy my dad had, and he paused it. He built me my own lightsaber. It didn't light up and it didn't make sounds, but I was a kid. I could make the ding sounds myself, like every kid did. But it was an exact replica of Anakin's lightsaber. He built from parts and pieces that he found around in hardware stores and that. He built an exact replica. He gave it a button and everything that you could push. And this was like 3 months. He completed it 3 months before he died. And I had that thing. I wanted to take it to school for show and tell. But Mom and Dad said no, on account someone could steal it. Or I could get in trouble for having it. So I left it at home. Within basically a total of 6 months, it was gone. Because someone broke into the house, and that was into our house, and that was one of the things stolen. It wasn't just the handle, it actually, he made or found a way to make a green tube that looked just like the blade. It wasn't too bulky, it was just right, but he had it set up and looked just like the green tube. It was perfect. Even for an adult to hold it, it was still perfect. He paused scenes in the movie of close-ups of the lightsaber's handle and that, so he could design the handle to get it movie accurate. And like I said, it got stolen. So yeah, that's how much I love Star Wars. He even replaced the movie because he stretched it out from pausing it for so long to get the details to build by hand. So yeah, I love Star Wars. I respect it, but what Disney's doing is a cash grab. This was Larry's Topics. Thank you and goodbye.